two of the XFL's top teams squaring off, and this is actually the second number spread-wise that disagrees with our power poll. We talked about San Antonio being a dog out in Vegas. This is another one. I have St. Louis ranked 2 and Houston at 4. So how much does the bounce back effect change this line? So let's really break down this line and get into what the odds makers are thinking. So in their 6 games, Houston has only been a dog once. That was Monday night against DC. Been a favorite 5 times. Remember, they lost as a favorite to Seattle. So they're 4-2 against the spread, just like they are overall. So what is it that gives odds makers in Vegas confidence to make them a favorite here again? Well, there's the obvious one. They're desperate. The bounce back is very much so baked into these lines in every sport you can imagine. Teams off a loss that have good culture, not talking Orlando here, teams off a loss that have won before, right? We talked about maybe Wade Phillips off a loss, dig back into his NFL career, and you need to find that kind of information. But think about St. Louis. What did they do? Went out and lost to DC in, I think, twice in 3 weeks. Came back strong against Vegas. Only a 3-point favorite. They win by 23. So some things that that's the obvious part, right? What are things you might not realize about why this line is Houston -3? Well, that's why you have Springball Boulevard getting into the weeds of this for you. 2 massive pickups at the receiver position for the Houston Roughnecks. They have to make an effort to replace Jontre Kirkland. He was the top target, out for the season, chest injury. First addition, Jacory Roberson. He'll wear 81 for Houston. He was inactive last week, and the Roughnecks haven't really given us consistent injury reports, so you're probably going to wait until about an hour and a half before kickoff on Sunday to see if Jacory's playing. I think he should be ready at this point. Remember, last week, nobody was really listed, and then 90 minutes before kick, Tim Ward's out. Sean Davis is out. It's like 2 of their 3 top defensive players. That would have been nice to know. Again, this is professional football. We need this information to decide what we're going to do with these bets. Anyway, back to Roberson. 2 1,000-yard seasons as a Wake Forest Demon Deacon. I talked to somebody who was actually a recruiting assistant there in Winston-Salem, and they explained to me that Jacory kind of took over as that top target in 2020. And then a name many of you know if you watch college football, A.T. Perry came into the mix, and Roberson became the number 2 option the following season before heading to the NFL, where he bounced around in training camps. It seems like A.J. Smith and the GM here, Mark Lillibridge, are really going for guys that played in these high-volume passing offenses. Well, they're going to have a tough test because look at this Seattle pass defense. 2nd in the league. They shut down Vegas, who can air it out last week. So how much of an impact can Roberson really make? Well, think about the other guys on this team in the receiver position. Travell Harris played in a high-volume passing attack at Washington State. Cedric Byrd, he was the same. He's starting to show out and catch some balls. He played at Hawaii. Deontay Burnett with Sam Darnold at USC. Now you get Roberson, and he was in a high-volume passing attack again. 1,000 yards, and that wasn't even the top receiver on his team. So this is a guy with a ton of experience, and he's super athletic. Next edition, Mike Mitchell of XFL News Hub reporting Michael Bandy, fresh off becoming an NFL free agent, will smash that glass ceiling, and he's going to become the first of his kind to jump out of the NFL, not get a deal in free agency. The tender didn't happen from the LA Chargers. Now he's coming to the Roughnecks. I don't think he'll be active this week. A.J. Smith was once with the LA Chargers, looking to add to an already prolific passing attack here. 10 catches for 89 yards in LA as I think the 4th or 5th option for them. He through some injuries, and Keenan Allen was banged up and some other guys. He actually became the number 2 receiver for one of those weeks, and Chargers fans remember that. So no matter what the Roughnecks decide to do at quarterback, whether it's Brandon Silvers, Cole McDonald, or kind of a joint 2-quarterback system that we saw last week, still a plethora of options to attack this really underrated St. Louis pass defense. Safety Ben DeLuca, remember he's on the IR, but they should get Mike Hampton back, and that will be big for them. He's been solid this year. Flipping sides of the ball, Battlehawks-Roughnecks D. I give Houston a slight edge offensively, but this is where I'm not so sure. This is a collision course right here. Battlehawks offense has been really good here. Houston just gave up 30 offensive points to DC. Is that an accurate representation going forward of their defense? Well, I don't think it is, because the inactives came out before kickoff, and without Tim Ward and Sean Davis, that's tough. That's 2 heartbeats of your defense. So I actually doubled down on DC upon seeing that, and it paid off. Roughnecks just weren't the same. They weren't themselves. I got a report that they actually didn't practice yesterday. So you have to think, Monday night game, they get into Arlington from DC late on Tuesday. They're not going to practice Tuesday. I expected maybe a walkthrough on Wednesday, and I assume that's what they did, but not a full practice. So really only Thursday, Friday before Roughnecks have to fly back out and go to Houston. I guess probably a bus ride, more likely, from the hub. Looking at St. Louis, Marcel Aitman, a name that many of you know. He was the #1 draft pick for the Battlehawks. I actually took him on my fantasy squad as well. Back in the lineup. And Aitman is 6'4", and he was expected to be the #1 receiver. Now you got Darius Shepard balling out. Hakeem Butler at 6'6", playing great, right? Now you add Aitman into the mix. You already got Austin Prohl and Steven Mitchell. That St. Louis receiving core, sneaky, sneaky good. And A.J. McCarron has been slinging it to them. So I give the advantage St. Louis. I'm relying on A.J. here. I don't understand this number, Zook. A lot of the talent on the Houston roster. But can you really expect guys like Roberson? He could be a star. Will he make enough of an impact? 11 on 11, right? These games are about more than just one player. So I'm taking another underdog outright this week, and I'm going St. Louis Battlehawks. And I know, even though you don't think they're going to make the playoffs, you agree with me here. And it's going to be painful for you to watch. You're actually rooting for a Roughnecks win, I would assume.
I am.
But your better judgment, right? Get your heart out of it and your head into it, tells you Battlehawks.
Right. I think the big thing for me here is I like the money line, so I'm taking the points.
Yeah.
Foreshadow.
Smart guy.
I just think Houston's secondary is susceptible to the long ball.
We saw that, yeah.
And
if DC can pass on you.
With the weapons you're just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
It's going to be super tough, I think, to figure out this line. Like, what is this going to do at kickoff? We don't get injury reports from Houston. I rely on these. When you have a league with not a lot of depth, this is important. Like, if you're going to wait on these numbers, I know we tell you, book them early, get the best value you can. Like, for example, Seattle opens -4, now all the way to 5. Right. But what if Ben DiNucci takes a hit in practice by accident and gets hurt?
Let's not talk like that, okay? Let's chill out.
Well, he's not practicing anymore. He's done. They got a Friday game, so they're off today.
All right.
So he's playing, but just a hypothetical, right? Why take the risk? Because that changes the game completely. St. Louis with A.J. McCarron, they don't have a backup. He goes out in the first snap. What do you do? Or even if he's inactive. So these injury reports matter. This is professional football. We get them in the NFL. It's tough in college, right? The coaches want to use that competitive advantage as much as they can. But we need these injury reports. Don't bet this game until you see it.
I'd like to see Cole get the start. I think he can.
I think so too.
I think he commands that offense a little bit better.
Yeah.
Brandon has that smugness
He's in a spiral.
We'll call it smugness. That's a nice way of putting it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he has control of that huddle. So I'd like to see Cole.
Right. Again, I think, Zook, you and I, a lot of our preseason outlook came true. Outside of Arlington, they've been a dud for us. We thought they'd be a good football team. One of the biggest things that we called was just what you're saying. Cole McDonald having the higher ceiling, being better than Brandon Silvers, Silvers being more experienced, being ready. Are we seeing that shift? The change of guard in Houston, potentially. McDonald balled out, and he showed it's not just a running option. He can throw the ball. He's thrown it 5,000 times at Hawaii. We know he's a passing threat. Do not box Cole McDonald into a running quarterback. He's a dual threat option, and when you blitz Brandon Silvers, what happens? You're either going to turn it over, fumble it, or get a pick because he is not a mobile quarterback. McDonald can run around, and we've seen DiNucci do it. We've seen McCarron sneaky athletic, right? But Cole McDonald, watch out. Maybe that's why the odds makers go -3. Do they know something we don't? Is Cole McDonald about to have a breakout game in the XFL? AJ Smith, I'm sure would love to see it. We are Battlehawks across the board, which scares me. Again, don't think home field advantage is much of an issue here. Weather looks good in H-Town. Roughneck fans, will you come out?